live, ladies and gentlemen? Are we live yet? Hold on. Let's make sure we are live. All right. Give me just a second, ladies and gentlemen. Got to make sure. Got to check and see. All right. Audio's working. Beautiful. Beautiful. All right. There we go. We are live. Hold on one second. All right. Okay, let's make sure we don't have the glitch in the description like that we get sometimes. All right. Hold on one second. One second. One second. One second. One second. All right. Whew. All right. All right. Let's get this all over here. Bop right there. We live on X. Yes, we are. Bop right there. And let's make sure we're live on the Twitch. Are we live? Yes, we are. All right. All right. All right. All right. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning. All right. Let's make sure everything's all copacetic there. Beautiful. Lovely. All right. All right. Stand by, stand by, stand by. All right. All right. Okay, let's get it over here, over there. All right. Let's get the share party going, ladies and gentlemen. Let's get a share party going. Just getting everything all set up. All right, boom, right there. All right. All right, boom, right there. All right. Get that going right there. Get this going over here. All right. Get that going here. Let's take a look. All right. Get that going over here. All right. There we go. All right. Beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Let's put it on the YouTubes. There we go. Good morning, MAA. Bobo Beebs, how you doing? He says, howdy, howdy, Bobo, Lima Charlie. Copy that. MAA says, good morning, DBL Knicks. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning, good morning, good morning. All right, all right, all right, all right. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Hope you guys are having a wonderful, wonderful day today. It's a beautiful morning on God's green earth. You already know. All right. Getting everything all set up here, as you know. Give me a second. Give me a sec. All right. Okay. Good, good, good. Getting everything all set up here. How's everybody doing today? Hope you guys are having a fantastic Monday. Hope you guys are starting the week off right. I know I am. I got my orange juice here. That's that good stuff right there. Woo! Ooh! That's the good stuff. Yes. All right. Look at that. There we are. Hold on. Getting everything all set up over here. All set up. Yeah. All right. Let's see here. Get everything all set up and ready to go. Boom, beautiful. All right, get that all shared up. Set up there. All right, all right, all right. Good. All right, there we go. Got everything all set up and ready to go. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, gentlemen and ladies, dudes and dudettes, indelibles and indelibels. You know what I mean? That's actually kind of a cool one. I like that. Hey, Coach, did you get that one?
Indelibels?
Indelibels. You know how like the women they're called bells sometimes? Indelibels. Haha. Indelibles and indelibels. But we don't have any indelibears. Ha! All right. There we go. I like that one. I like that. I like that. All right. Give me a second. 1 second. 1 second. I like that. Yeah. I like that one. Hold on. 1 second. Just getting everything all shared up. All shared up. I like that. Oh, that's a good one. I like that one. Good. Good job, Brain. Thank you, man. Yes, sir. Yes, I like it like that. You like it like that? I like it like that. Let's give it a like. Let's give it a share, comment, subscribe, all that beautiful stuff. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right. Just getting everything all shared up. Boom. Right here. All right. Bop right there. And bada binga. All right. We're all set up. All right. Let's get this intro started right here. What's up, guys? It's Double Nicks, and welcome to another episode of Microcap Mornings. I am your host with the most. They call me DBL Nicks in the house, aka the Rainmaker. And I am here with the lovely Serengeti specialist herself. She likes to hang around the tall weeds, the high trees, the low seas, hitting them high knees. Sometimes she likes 2 cups of coffee. Other times she likes to jet ski. Other times she likes to regular ski. Other times she gets shot out the cannon and she goes, wee! Other times she likes to party and go to Arby's and watch videos of puppies and kitties. Other times she likes to go into the stock market and she'll find them A, B, C, Ds. Other times she likes to go and hang out and go to Mickey D's. Other times she'll go to Burger King. And other times she'll go into a nice little Wendy's. We call her Davia Moms. Hey!
Let's go.
All right, so that's what we got going on, ladies and gentlemen. That is what we got going on. So before we begin, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, as well as ring that bell icon to stay notified when new videos are uploaded. Remember to share, because sharing is caring, ladies and gentlemen. Sharing is caring, and of course, if you want access to our private Discord, link to join us in the description down below, as well as the pinned comment section. So be sure to check that out, because we pick a lot of baggers a lot of times. We are just made different, and the early bird gets the cash, the moolah, the loot, the cashola, the big bucks, I tell you. So, ladies and gentlemen, that is what we got going on. That is what we got going on. All right. Hope you guys are doing well. We're getting ourselves all here. Yes, sir. Let's take a look at some stonks here. So, for example, we got MGRX. Mango Ceuticals Inc. Mango. Pharmaceutical. You know what I mean? So we got that going on right there. Mango Ceuticals Inc. up 111% currently as of now. Had a nice high of 114%, I believe. 114? Actually, no. 150. 150, excuse me. 150. 150%. 150. 150. All right, Alex Martinez says cooking so far. There we go. Real Deal says good morning, everyone. Good morning, Real Deal. Yes, sir.
Get the grease in there.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. MGRX had a high of 150%, 150%. We called it on our private Discord. Private Discord. Prior to its run up. Prior to its run. Right there. Up 150%. So we got that going on right there. All right. All right. There we go. There we go. All right. Bada binga, bada binga, bada binga. Bada bingo, bingo, bango. Yes, sir. There we are. There we are. All right. Boom. There we are, ladies and gentlemen. There we are. All right. Alex says TOVX is breaking out. Coaches a play you might like. I'm doubles, but yes. I'll definitely take a look. TOVX moving its way on up right now. Up 35% right now. Climbing on up right here. Bop right there. Bop right there. There we go. There we go. Bop. There we go. Beautiful. Okay, so right now TOVX is up 37% and climbing. It's on a bit of an uptrend. Had some consolidation over here a little bit. Formed a bit of a double top, but then broke above that double top at the 24-cent mark, but has since climbed up a little bit more there. Let's get some support and resistance lines over here. Bop right there and bop right there. So right now it has to hold above 25 cents. Has to break above 27 cents for it to be somewhat schmexy to me. Right now it's got to climb, baby, climb. Ladies and gentlemen, that's what it's got to do. Climb, baby, climb. TOVX as of now up 34%. Let's take a look at the float. Float is heavy at 45 million. Call it 46 million because it is approximately 46 million. Volume is 43 million, so it's almost there. All right, the volume is almost there, but again, the float is pretty high, and the volume is lower than the float right now. So we gotta wait for it to get a little more volume, but it is on the way up. That's my thought process. At least I'm keeping an eye on it right now. The volume is starting to climb up a little bit, all right? And I like that, but as of now, it's got a heavy float, so I gotta keep an eye on that, ladies and gentlemen. Gotta keep an eye on that right there. So TOVX moving up on lower volume right there. Let's take a look at the news for it right here. TOVX does have news that they filed a Form 8, ladies and gentlemen, a Form 8. All right. They filed a material change right there, and they received the FDA's general agreement for phase 3 clinical study of VCN-01 to treat metastatic pancreatic adenocarcinoma. So they got that going on right there. That's cancer. Cancer. You know what I mean? They got cancer. All right. Therivia Biologics announces a positive end of phase 2 meeting with the US FDA regarding the design of a phase 3 trial of VCN-01 in metastatic pancreatic ductal adenocarcinoma. So you got that going on right there. Say that fast 10 times, huh? Metastatic pancreatic ductal adenocarcinoma. Yeah. Now you'll have better luck naming the longest lake in the United States of America, which I actually can name, by the way. Lake Chagugagug Manchugagug Chawbunagungamug, which is actually a lake. Look it up. All right. But besides that, and they have a sign for it too. It's a long sign. Not joking. Anyways. All right. So TOVX as of now moving up on some lower volume at the moment, needs to break above the resistance of 25 cents now. TOVX needs to break on the uptrend, but needs to break the resistance line. On the uptrend, on low volume, heavy float, needs to break above resistance line at 25 cents right there. Needs to break above that resistance line right there for it to be so much maxi to me. Yes, sir. All right. So, yes, that's what we got going on right there. That is what we got going on. Yes, sir. All right. There we go. Let's get a share party going on. Let's get to 100. 100. Let's get a share party going on right there. All right, let's take a look at MGRX in the meantime. MGRX, I think it's pulling back a little bit, but it did have a bit of a shoulder over here. It had a nice run. Did have a nice run, ladies and gentlemen. Had a bit of a shoulder over here, little bit of a head over here, and then a little bit of a shoulder right over Mya. So we got that going on right there. That is what we got going on. All right, has a bit of a descending wedge too. Got a bit of a descending wedge right there. Bop and bop right there. All right, needs to break above that descending wedge. Could potentially be a descending wedge or a head and shoulders. And it looks like it's trying to break the descending wedge right now. Needs to break above the descending wedge and the VWAP for it to really be so much maxi to me. But did have a nice run all the way up over here. Had a nice run up to 150%. And now is forming a possible descending wedge. But it does have a bit of a head and shoulders going on there as well because it became sub VWAP. So maybe the downtrend for this stock might be over. Could potentially be, and maybe it could curl off this descending wedge right here. Maybe. We'll see what happens, ladies and gentlemen. Let's see what happens, but it has to break the descending wedge. MGRX formed a head and shoulders bear pattern, possible descending wedge forming, needs to break above the VWAP. All right, at 36 cents there, 36 cents. Yes, sir. All right, so it needs to do that for it to be somewhat schmexy to Mya. Yes, sir. All right. Let's get a share party going. Let's get to 200. All right. Alex Martinez says MGRX moving off the 200 EMA. There we go. It's climbing off a bit off the 9 EMA as well. So we got that going on right there. Needs to maintain that volume, though. Needs to maintain that volume. Not overbought or oversold in the RSI as of now. Was a bit overbought on the RSI earlier in the day, but has since rolled back a little bit and become rather indifferent on the RSI. So now let's take a look at the float. Float is 14 million. Volume is 106 million. So we got that going on right there. Let's take a look at the news. There's no news for today, but there was some news that came out on the 21st that they filed the form upload and the form correspondence right there. All right. And of course, they had some changes to their beneficial ownership right there. And they did announce that they filed a lawsuit against Clarity Ventures on the 17th. So they were trading higher on the 17th due to that. But as far as any real good news there, they did file a patent cooperation treaty on the 6th. Again, that's really all the news they got going on right there. So that's what they got going on right there. That is what they got going on. Needs to break above the descending wedge and break above that VWAP for it to be somewhat schmexy to Mya. Otherwise, it's you know how it goes, ladies and gentlemen. You know how it goes. So we'll see what happens there. We shall see what happens. All right, let me actually get a support and resistance line over here. Support and resistance line, bop, right there. Has some support at the 35-cent mark as of now. 35-cent mark is support. Has to break above 36, which is where the VWAP is, then 37, 39, and 43 for it to be somewhat schmexy to me. And there is a bit of a double top right over here that they has to break as well at 43 cents. So you got that going on. Broke above the VWAP, though. MGRX broke above the VWAP, is testing the new resistance at 37 cents. So we got that going on right there. That is what we got going on right there. So MGRX broke the descending wedge and the VWAP. Now testing the resistance at 37 cents right there. So we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens there, ladies and gentlemen. We shall see. All right. There we go. All right. So that's what we got going on right there. That is what we got going on. Let's take a look at GMEX. In the meantime, GMEX, let's see how it's doing right there. GMEX is on a bit of an uptrend right now, right there. All right, so we'll see what happens there. Had a bit of a pullback and a bit of a double top right at the $1.21 mark over here, but has since pulled back a little bit, bounced off the VWAP, and looks to be climbing back up a little bit again. We'll see what happens there. GMEX has a 1 million float, 7 million volume. So we got that going on as well. Does it have any news? Let's see. Not a lot of news going on there, but we got the chart over here. So we got that going on right there. GMEX needs to break, needs to remain friends with the trend. So we got that going on right there. That is what we got going on right there. They're up 50% right now. Needs to remain friends with the trend. Let's see what happens, though. We shall see what happens, ladies and gentlemen. Let's get a share party going. Let's get the 200. Let's see what we got going on. And by the way, ladies and gentlemen, if you have any stocks you want to request to us, put it in the chat. And we will get right to it. UGRO. Let's take a look over here. UGRO. Yes, sir. All right. Descending wedge right here, curling its way on up. All right. A to B, B to C, C to D over here. All right. And then looks like it curled its way back down a little bit more over here. Needs to break the descending wedge as well as the VWAP. Needs to bounce off the VWAP and break the descending wedge for it to be somewhat schmaxy to meow. UGRO needs to do exactly that right there. UGRO needs to break the descending wedge and hold above the VWAPA. So we got that going on right there. That is what we got going on right there. Bada bing, bada boom. All right, there we go. Let's take a look at another stock over here. TOVX. All right, Alex Martinez says TOVX moving back up off the pullback, holding the 20 EMA as trend, making some money in it at 22 cents is my main play with the few shares left of MGRX at 34 cents. So you got that going on right there. Yes, sir. All right, so right now it is kind of testing the high of day right now at 27 cents. So we got that going on as well. That is what we got going on. TOVX testing the high of day at 27 cents right there. All right. It's testing that high a day at 27 cents. Needs to break above it for it to continue to be schmexy to mya. There we go. That's what's got to do right there. TOVX looking good, but needs more volume to break that high of day, baby. Has to break that high of day. It's testing it, but it needs to break it, baby. Break it. There we go. UGRO, how's it doing? Let me see. All right, UGRO. Let's get the support and resistance line for it as well. Bop, right there. Boom, right there. All right. Has to hold above the 380. Has to hold above 380 and needs to break through 436 for it to be schmexy to mya. That's what we got going on right there. But as of now, has to also hold above that VWAP at 371 for it to continue to be schmexy to mya. So we'll see what goes on, but needs to break above that descending wedge for it to really be schmexy to meow. So that's what we got going on right there. UGRO needs to break that descending wedge and high a day. UGRO needs to break the descending wedge and the high of day. There we go. That's what we got going on right there. That is what we got going on. Let's get a share party going. Let's get the 300. All right. In the meantime, let's take a look and see what ZYBT is doing. ZYBT, how's that one doing? It's up 25%. Has a float of 4 million, volume of 8 million. So we'll see what goes on here. All right. So as of now, ZYBT did have a bit of a move up here. Right. Pulled back a little bit, then curled back up a little bit, went back down over here, formed a bit of a descending wedge, curled itself back up once again, and then formed another pennant right over here. Has to break above the VWAP over here at 97 cents for it to really be schmexy to meow, but right now it's sub VWAP right now. Had a bit of a double top right here at the 97-cent mark as well. So 97 cents is a significant resistance line for it right there. Has to break above that resistance and the VWAP at 97 cents right there. So it has to do that. ZYBT needs to break the VWAP at 97 cents right there for it to be somewhat schmexy to mya. That's what it needs to do right there. That is what it needs to do. Yes, sir. Yes, sir, ladies and gentlemen. Let's get a share party going. Let's get to 300, 300, 300, 300. All right. Let's see what else we got here. All right. GMEX. How's GMEX holding up? All right, GMEX had a bit of a double top over here. A little bit of a double top right at the $1.26 mark. So we got that going on as well right there. Let's get some support and resistance lines. Bop right there. Bop right there. All right. Bada bing, bada boom. All right. Mr. Worldwide going to step in the room. All right. Let's see what we got going on over here. Test on this little descending wedge over here. Has to hold above 118, but it looks like it pulled back. It pulled back to 116, so now it needs to hold above 110. Needs to break 118, and it needs to break 130 for it to really be schmexy to me. It has to break that resistance line at 126, so it has to do that right there. So as of now, GMEX needs to break the descending wedge and the resistance line at 118 right there for it to be somewhat schmexy to mya. Yeesh, has to break that area right there for it to be somewhat schmexy to mya. Let's get a share party going. Let's get to 300. Come on now. Let's get to 300, 300, 300. Yes, sir. All right, and ladies and gentlemen, of course, be sure to check out our 4-day trial for our real-time alerts and scanners for only $9.99. Link to join us in the description down below as well as the pinned comment section, so be sure to check that out. We pick a lot of baggers a lot of times. We're just made different. And the early bird gets the cash, the moolah, the loot, the cashola, the big bucks, I tell you, ladies and gentlemen. That's what we got going on. That is what we got going on right there. All right, let's get some requests over here. Let's take a look at the requests. Bada bing, bada boom. All right. There we go. All right. Hold on 1 second. 1 second. All right. Let's take a look at GMEX over here. Yeah, GMEX is pulling back right now real bad. Has to hold above 110. If it doesn't, downtrend. You know what I mean? Possible head and shoulders even forming right over here. Maybe. We'll see what happens there, ladies and gentlemen. We shall see what happens. So, we'll see what goes on there. We shall see what goes on there. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right. Let's take a look over here. Let's take a look at UGRO. Let's take a look over here. UGRO bouncing off the support line at 380, but needs to hold above that support line at 380 right there. So, has to hold above that support line at UGRO. UGRO needs to hold above the support line for it to be somewhat schmexy to myan. Needs to hold that support line right there. Bop right there. Needs to hold that support line for it to be somewhat schmexy to mya. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right. Let's get a share party going. Let's get to 400. 400. All right. In the meantime, let's take a look over here at somebody requested PLTR. All right, sure. Let's take a look at PLTR. All right, PLTR is a very expensive stock. Oh, $153. $153. Not a stock that I personally would take a look at right now because it's very, very pricey, and also it's got. Yeah, I know it's a large cap. Not something I personally would look at, but this is something that people have requested. So I'm going to do a chart for it right here. Needed to break above this pennant right here. Did break above the pennant at one point, and then created another little ABCD pattern right there. All right, and then pretty much pulled back quite a bit, and then formed a bit of a descending wedge right over here. So we got that going on right there, but really needs to, actually no, it's not even a descending wedge, it's more like a pennant right here, and that's about it. So we got that going on right there. That is what we got going on. Not looking too schmexy right now as of this point. PLTR needs volume to break above that pennant right there. PLTR needs volume to break above the pennant right there. For it to be somewhat schmexy to mya, needs volume to break above that pennant. For it to be schmexy to mya, very expensive stock. Expensive stock. Heavy float. And I'm pretty sure it has a low volume. Let me take a look. Take a look over here. Float is, yep, 2.1 billion. Volume is 1.6 million. Heavy float, low volume. Not schmexy to mya as of now. Expensive stock, heavy float, low volume. All right. Yeah, not schmexy to mya. Let's get a share party going on. Let's get to 400. Bless you, coach. Yes. Yes, bless you with money. Yes, sir. I blessed you with money. Yeah. Yes, I bless you with the Stonkinator. Ah, Perry the Platypus. I have unleashed the Stonkinator upon the whole tri-state area. Yes, I love it. All right. Yes. Talk to him, Doofenshmirtz. All right. Yes, gotta admit that man was an excellent character growing up. That was an excellent character. Even the villains were exemplary back in the day. All right. Yes, exactly. Phineas and Ferb, right there. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right. Let's see here. Curling up off the little descending wedge there is MGRX. MGRX curling up off the descending wedge right now. Needs to break above this pennant right here. It needs to break above the VWAP right there. Has to hold above 35 cents for it to be schmexy to meow. We'll see what happens, ladies and gentlemen. MGRX needs to hold the support line and break above the pennant and the resistance line right there. Has to hold above it, ladies and gentlemen. Has to hold above it. MGRX. There we go. All right. Let's see here. Let's see what we got going on. All right. Somebody requested ONDS. All right. Let's take a look at ONDS. See what we got going on here. ONDS. All right. Has a conference call scheduled in 2 days at 8:30 a.m. All right, and has Q4 earnings that were released today before the market opened. So we got that going on as well right there. Let's take a look over here. BOP right there had a bit of a pull up over here and then formed a bit of a pennant right around, a little bit of a descending wedge right around here. Then curled off that descending wedge a little bit right here. Right, and then formed a bit of a pennant right over here. Now, this one is $10.48, up 4%. Not really a big move, not going to lie. Probably a heavy floated stock, not going to lie. All right, let's take a look at the conference call here. It says 2 days at 8:30. All right, it's scheduled in 2 days at 8:30, and the Q4 earnings were released today before the market opened, so that explains why it's moving up a little bit right there. Let's take a look at the news, see what they got going on. They're going to be acquiring Worldview Enterprises, but the terms have not been disclosed yet, and they're building on a shared vision for the multi-domain, interconnected intelligence platforms. They also released their fiscal year 2026 revenue, which is going to be expected to be at least $375 million, so they got that going on right there as well. Let's take a look at the float. Float is $460 million, which is very heavy. Volume is 5 million. So right now, it has a very low volume, very heavy float. All right, needs to break the pennant and needs a lot of volume to break that pennant right there. So ONDS, heavy float, needs a lot of volume to break the pennant right there. All right, let's take a look at GMEX in the meantime. GMEX. All right, GMEX. Let's see what's going on with GMEX over there. GMEX. Let's take a look at GMEX. Oh my, curling off that descending wedge right there. Curlage. Curlage. Whoop, whoop. That's the sound of the parabolic. Whoop, whoop. That's the sound of money. There we go. All right, let's see what we got going on here. So as of now, GMEX is up, hit a new high of $1.41, broke the high a day and hit a high of 141. Needs to remain friends with the trend right now, so it's got that going on right there. GMEX hit a new high of day, has to break it and remain friends with the trend right there. So we got that going on right there. That is what we got going on right there. Boom. That's what we got going on. Bada binga. Bada bingo, bingo, bango. Yes, sir. All right. All right, all right, all right. Let's see what else we got here. What else we got? MGRX. All right. MGRX needs to break above the pennant and the VWAP over here still. So we got that going on. MGRX testing the pennant. MGRX testing the VWAP and needs to break above the pennant right there for it to be schmexy to mya, bada boom right there. Woo! Let's get a share party, boys. Let's get a share party, ladies and gentlemen. Indelibles and Indelibels. Let's get it going on. But we don't have any Indelibears. We ain't got none of that. All right. Just saying. Just saying. All right. So, MGRX up 120% and curling slightly. Needs to break that pennant and needs to break that VWAP right there. 36 cents right there for it to be so much schmexy to mya. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right, let's take a look. Let's see what else we got going on here. What else we got? What else we got? All right, somebody requested AIFF. AIFF. All right, let's take a look at AIFF. Let's see what we got going on here. Not looking too schmexy. Not looking too schmexy to me. Very choppy. Very choppy. Needs to break above the VWAP, but also needs some more volume. Take a look at it over here. Float is 13 million. Volume is 908,000, so not looking too schmexy. AIFF. Choppy with low volume, needs to break the VWAP for it to become somewhat schmexy to mya. And even then, that's going to take some doing because it does need some volume. Let's get a share party going. Let's get to 600. 600. All right, let's take a look at GMEX again. GMEX, see how it's doing. GMEX has a 1 million float, 15 million volume, broke the high a day at 141, and is climbing its way on up right now. Broke the high a day. GMEX now up $1.45, up 74 cents right now, testing the new high a day already as it goes. GMEX. All right, GMEX broke the high of day, up 75%, testing the new high of day right there for it to be so much maxi to mya, and it looks like it's breaking through that high a day already. Now it's up to, now it's got a nice high a day at 147. It's testing that new high a day now, so it's climbing right now, baby. It's climbing. It's climbing right now. Yes, sir. All right. Let's get a share party going. Let's get to 600. 600. Let's go. Testing that high a day up to $1.47. That is the high a day right now. It's got to test that. It's got to break it. That's what it's got to do right there. Alex Martinez says, AIFF looks like a great stock to watch today. Last time it took all day to run. Hey, I hope you're right. I hope it does run. You know what I mean? I hope it does run. It doesn't look like it's moving on much volume as of now because it does have a 13 million volume, 909,000 float, but I do hope that the volume goes up more so that way it can make some more money. I hope so. Money. Wait, hold on. We got to do it again. Money. Yes, sir. That's what I like. Let me get a drink real quick. That's that stuff right there. That's that vitamin C. I hope so. I hope AIFF does run. I hope it runs. It's very, very choppy as of now. Needs volume. Has some unconfirmed Q4 earnings due in 14 days from now on to April 6th before the market open. So it's got that going on right there. That is what it's got going on right there. Has to break above this little area right here and has to do. It needs a lot of volume. Needs a lot of volume. That's first and foremost. Needs a lot of volume, but it is curling off a bit of a descending wedge over here. Just needs to really break above that VWAP and needs more volume to continue to move up. So AIFF curling off the descending wedge and testing VWAP on low volume right there. That's what we got going on. That is what we got going on. Bop right there. All right. So it's got to break that VWAP and it needs more volume for it to be so much Mexi to Mya. That's what it's got going on. Forming a bit of a double top right over here at the 191 mark. At the 191 mark right there. All right, so we got that going on. That's what we got going on right there. All right. AIFF needs to break the double top right there. AIFF needs to break resistance at 191 and the VWAPA. So it needs to break that for it to be somewhat schmexy to Mya. That's what it's got to do right there. Bada bing, bada boom. All right, let's get that going on, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right, let's get a share party going. Let's get to 700. 700, 700, 700. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right. All right, all right, all right. All right. Let's see here. Somebody requested OSRH. OSRH. Let's take a look at OSRH. How's OSRH looking? Very choppy. Choppy, choppy, choppy. It's Chop City. Chop City. No. Chop City. Chop City. Doesn't even look like it can break 150, no. Chop City. Nope. OSRH has Q4 earnings unconfirmed in 14 days, up 18%, but very, very choppy with low volume. OSRH, very choppy with low volume. Not looking schmexy. Not looking schmexy as of now. Not looking schmexy. Very choppy with low volume. All right. So we got that going on right there. That is what we got going on right there. Bop. Right there. Let's get a share party going. Let's get to 700. 700. All right. Somebody requested SLS. Let's take a look at SLS. Choppy. Garbage. Not looking schmexy. All right. Just saying. Not looking schmexy. Not looking schmexy. It's Chop City. It's Chop City. Look at all that chop. Look at all that chop. All that indecisive wick. Even more right here. Look at that. Look at all that. Look at all that. Not looking schmexy right now. Nah. Not looking schmexy. Very choppy. Very choppy. SLS, let's take a look at the float. Float is 178 million. Very heavy. Volume is 226,000. Not looking schmexy at all. So we got that going on right there. SLS trash. I'm just saying. SLS. Very choppy. Heavy float. Low volume. All right, it is above the VWAP, but it's indecisive wicks. Chop City. Not looking schmexy. Not looking schmexy right there. Not looking schmexy. Needs more volume. Needs more volume. Let's take a look over here. Let's see how GMEX is doing right here. GMEX called the pre-market, and it ran up a nice 77% right there. It ran up a nice high of 77% right there. Needs to break the descending wedge forming right now. Hold on right there. All right. So as of now, GMEX formed a double top right here at 141. Needs to break the descending wedge right over here, right over Mia. You know what I mean? Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Hold on one second. All right, I'm back, ladies and gentlemen. I'm back. It is a bit overbought on the RSI, too. You got to remember that. GMEX, as of now, needs to hold above 131, needs to break above the 141 area, and needs to break above 147 for it to become somewhat schmexy to Mia. So that's what we got going on right there. That is what we got going on. And ladies and gentlemen, if you like the stream, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Ring that bell icon to stay notified when new videos are uploaded. Remember to share, because sharing is caring. And ladies and gentlemen, be sure to share it up. Let's get to 800. 800. Yes, sir. All right. GMEX, as of now, needs to break the descending wedge as well as the double top right there and the VWAP. Actually, no, it is above the VWAP. The high a day. It doesn't really rhyme. You know what I mean? So, I got to bear with me there. You know what I mean? GMEX needs to break the descending wedge and resistance. Can it curl? We'll see what happens, ladies and gentlemen. We shall see what happens right there. GMEX. We'll see what goes on, ladies and gentlemen. But we did call it earlier, and it did make a nice run, ladies and gentlemen. So we'll see what happens there. All right. Currently, as of now, we are we're close to 20 minutes from the bell. Close to 20 minutes. Not exactly there, but close to it. So we got that going on. Let's take a look at what else we got going on here. What else we got? Let me at him. All right. Let's see. Let's see here. What else we got right there? Come on. Let's see here. All right. Let's see how we're doing. Somebody requested ONDS again. Let's take a look at ONDS. ONDS right now up 3% with a pennant right there. Heavy float, low volume, needs to break that pennant right there. ONDS still needs to break the pennant, not moving much. ONDS still needs to break the pennant as of now. That's what it's got going on right there. That is what it's got going on right there. Bada boom, right there. Let's see about AIFF. All right, because that was very popular with some people. AIFF, as of now, double top. Still needs to break that double top and still needs to break that VWAP. All right. AIFF still needs to break the double top and the VWAP right there. Still needs to break those things right there. Bubble Beep says TOVX moving a bit. TOVX, let's take a look at it. TOVX, oh yes, broke above the high a day. Right there. Now up 46%. 46% right there. That is what we got going on, ladies and gentlemen. That is what we got going on right there. All right, so TOVX broke the high a day once again, up 48%. That's what we got going on. TOVX broke the high of day once again, up 48%. 48% right there. Yes, sir. All right. Needs to break the new high at 29 cents right there. 29 cents for it to become even more schmexy to Mia. Yes, sir. It's climbing up once again right here after a little bit of a pullback right there. Let me just get rid of this one. All right. It is climbing up once again, broke the high a day, now hit 29%, or excuse me, is testing 29 cents, needs to continue to break above it. Yes, sir. All right, let's get a share party going. Let's get to 900, 900, 900, 900. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right. All right, all right, all right. 46 million float, 909 million volume. TOVX is climbing up. So we got that going on right there. Bit of a heavy float, but it is fine. We got a very heavy volume as well. So that's good. That's very good. All right, let's see what we got going on. How about ABVE? ABVE. Let's take a look at ABVE. Not looking schmexy still. Hold on. Let me get this out of here. ABVE very choppy as of now. Has a 21 million float, 779,000 volume. Very, very, very choppy and very low float right there. So ABVE choppy with low volume. Choppy with low volume. Not looking too schmexy as of now. Not looking too schmexy as of now. Bop right there. There we go. There we go. All right, all right, all right. There we are. There we are. All right. Let's see what we got going on over here. Let's see what we got going on right here. All right. 1 second, ladies and gentlemen. 1 second, 1 second, 1 second. All right. Bop right there. All right. There we go. All right. Oh. Okay. There we go. All right. Let's see what we got going on over here. All right. Let's see. ABV curling up slightly, but again, low volume. Don't trust it. You know what I mean? I don't trust it. I don't trust it. MGRX. MGRX. Still testing that VWAP right now. Still testing that VWAP. MGRX still testing the VWAP as of now. That's what we got going on. MGRX still testing the VWAP right there. Let's see what we got going on. MGRX still testing the VWAP right now. Bot right there. Boom. All right. There we go. There we go. There we go. All right, how's GMEX holding up? GMEX, as of now, still needs to hold above that 131, but it pulls back below the 131. Needs to break above the descending wedge for it to be somewhat schmexy to me. All right, GMEX. GMEX needs to break above the descending wedge and resistance for it to become somewhat schmexy to me. There we go. All right. There we go. There we go. All right. All right. All right. All right. All right. There we are. There we are. Okay. Let's get a share party going. Let's get to 1,000. 1,000. 1,000. 1,000 right there. UGRO. UGRO. Let's see how it's doing right there. 676,000 float. 36 million volume. So we got that going on right there. That is what we got going on right there. Looks like it's forming a bit more of a pennant than anything else. So let's see what goes on here. Needs to break above the VWAP and needs to break above that pennant right there. So UGRO testing the VWAP as of now. UGRO testing the VWAP. Needs to break above the pennant as well right there. There we go. There we go. There we go. There we go. All right. That's what we got going on right there. ABVE. ABVE. All right. ABVE moving up on low volume. Very, very choppy again. ABVE moving up on low volume. Still very choppy as of now. So we got that going on right there. Bot right there. All right. Let's see about MGRX. MGRX, how's it doing? All right. Broke above the pennant and broke above the VWAP a little bit. Still testing it now. Wait, broke above the pennant, but still testing the VWAP. MGRX broke above the pennant. Still testing the VWAP right there. That's what we got going on right there. That is what we got going on right there. All right. All right, all right, all right. Hold on 1 second. Boop, right there. Bot, right there. Beautiful. All right. Alex Martinez says, yes, I caught a second pop on TOVX 22%. 22 cents to 26.265 and 25 to 28 cents. Still holding a lot of the position. Good job, Alex. That's awesome, brother. Congratulations. I hope you.
Money.
Money. Yes, sir.
The money train.
Yes. I want to hear something funny, by the way, ladies and gentlemen. Sometimes coach just randomly do that. Just that random, just goes money, and then I just go money at a reflex. It's hilarious. It's like Pavlov's dog. It's crazy, but it's pretty awesome. Not gonna lie. All right, Alex says hoping for new higher days right here towards market open, but we may have a hard crash. I hope not. I hope not. No offense, brother. I hope you are wrong about that. I hope that we have a lot of bull runs, but we'll see what happens. We shall see what happens, man. We shall see. All right. Has to break above 37 cents. It broke above the VWAP. MGRX broke above the VWAP. Needs to break 37-cent resistance line right there. MGRX broke the VWAP. Needs to break resistance at 37 cents right there for it to be so much Mexican to me. Yeah. All right, right there. Hold on 1 second. 1 second. Bop right there. And bop right there. All right, beautiful. All right. What's this? Alex Martinez says if you do it in public, someone may recognize it. I would for sure. Yeah, probably. Probably, man. It probably. Like if I did the money, yeah, somebody would probably recognize that. Somebody would probably recognize that, wouldn't they? That's funny. That's amazing. It's like Pavlov's dog. As soon as I hear money, I gotta go money. There you go, man. You know how it is. MGRX testing that 37-cent resistance line right there. MGRX testing the resistance line. Yes, the resistance line. Go do it. It broke it. 37 cents broken. It broke the resistance line. Yes, good. Yeah, gotta sound like Darth Sidious when I do it. Good. Give in to your darkness. Yes, good. Yes, I'm a bit of a Star Wars nerd. The old Star Wars. I'm not gonna lie, the new one doesn't do it for me. It doesn't really do it for me. Like it doesn't do it like the old one. You know what I mean? Like after the I think it was the Republic Strikes Back. I think I don't remember. Don't at me. I the one where Anakin fights Obi-Wan. Okay, after that one, I mean they did have a couple of bangers. I'm not gonna lie. They did have like a MGR's now up 135%. By the way, 135%. Hold on 1 second. 135%. MGRX broke the resistance line. Needs to break the new resistance line at resistance at 39 cents right there. That's a new resistance line for it right there. So we got that going on right there. Bot right there. That's what's got to do. But yeah, no. I remember that one. That one was amazing. So they did have the video games. They did have some video games that came out that I actually did like. They had what was it called? Man, Fallen Order, and I think it was Last Survivor. I think it was called. The one surrounding Cal Kestis. It's been a minute. It's been a minute since I looked at it. I've been engulfed in Final Fantasy as of late, so forgive me. My video game nerdness is not up to date as of now. Did not get the new update for Star Wars. You know what I mean? Like the Obi-Wan series is alright. It's alright. You know what I mean? Like the fight between him and Vader, that was cinema. But the rest of it, eh. Alex Martinez says Battlefront was fire for almost 6 years. You're right. You're right. You're right. My mistake. I forgot to mention Battlefront. I did forget to mention. I forgot Battlefront existed. Not gonna lie to you. I kind of forgot. My bad. That is my bad right there. But yeah, no, definitely. Battlefront was fire. It was fire. It was definitely fire. Now, I mean, hopefully they come out with some more good games. I hope they do. I hope they do. You know, I hope they come out with something like a Fallen Order, but it's like the regular main continuity, like for Star Wars. Like they reenact the whole Star Wars game. That would be kind of cool. Like they reenact the movies as video games. That would be dope. That would be awesome. I would love that. The lightsaber play would just be awesome, right? Using the Force to like to figure out puzzles and stuff like that, new Force abilities and things like that. You know what was fire? You know what was fire? You know what was fire? Hold on. You know what was fire? Uh, what was it called? Oh my god. I'm mad at myself that I don't know this one. I come on. All right. What was it called? Oh my god.
What are you thinking about?
I'm trying to figure out which one it was. It was the dude with two lightsabers was once a Sith guy. He was once a Sith, but then he turned to a Jedi. Man. AHMA. In the meantime, I'm gonna look at AHMA. In the meantime, AHMA on the uptrend right now. On the uptrend. Right there. Up 27 cents. He had the dual lightsabers, man. Was he Star Destroyer? Was that his name? Oh my god, it's been a hot minute. Knights of the Old Republic? Yeah, Apollo Man, Knights of the Old Republic. Hey, you a man of culture, Apollo Man. I see you. I see you on that. AHMA. Yes, I do see you on that right there. I see you on Knights of the Old Republic. You a man of culture yourself. I see. You're a man of culture as well. Mm-hmm. All right. AHMA up has a 3 million float, 2 million volume as of now on the uptrend. Needs to break that float though. It has a 3 million float, needs more volume, to remain schmexy to me and friends with the trend right there. Force Unleashed, yes, that's the one. That's the one, Apollo Man. That's the one right there. Force Unleashed. I loved that one. All right, that one, and they had one where you played as like Mace Windu at first, and you were basically in the tanks. It was a game. Oh my god, my brain. Okay, it was a GameCube game. It was called the Clone Wars, Star Wars: The Clone Wars. Apollo Man says, my man, yeah. It was a Star Wars: The Clone Wars game, and basically you play as Mace Windu. You were in like a little tank, right? It was one of those little Star Wars versions of a tank, right? It was like a one-man tank. You know, pew 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 pew. All right, and you did that. You did a lot of pew pew. All right, and basically from there, you got to pilot all sorts of other vessels that were there as well. You got to pilot the flying vessels, right? You got to go up against protodegas and stuff like that. If you know what a protodega is, if you know, you know. Those things are a nightmare to deal with in the games. But oh yeah, it was Star Wars: The Clone Wars, and it was basically obviously a reenactment of the Clone Wars in the game. But you played as Mace Windu, working with Leonara. If you know who she is, you know. All right, and they were basically getting ready to free Obi-Wan Kenobi and Anakin Skywalker from the base there, from captivity there, and they did it. And you got to sometimes play as the characters, and you got to do cool lightsaber fights too. But that wasn't really the main focus. You got to do the lightsaber fights on occasion and stuff like that, but primarily it was like a tank game type of deal. It was called Star Wars: The Clone Wars. It was so much fun, very fun. I still have the game actually. I just gotta find a new television to play the GameCube on, because new ones, they don't have the plug-in HDMI routers that the old ones had, right? So they had the red one, the yellow one, the green one, yeah, and all that cool stuff right there. Actually, red, yellow, and white. Excuse me, not green. Red, yellow, and white. And they had the little plug-in things in the old televisions. They had those for like the old stuff. So I need to find something for that, like an adapter for the other television I got right here. So and then I'm gonna play the heck out of that. I'm gonna play the heck out of that. Play me some Sonic Heroes as well, because that game is fire. That game is fire. That's my childhood right there. Yes, sir. All right, AHMA needs to break the double top, which is currently at $6.36. At $6.36 for it to be so much Mexi to me. There we go. Let's get a share party going. Let's get to 1300 right there. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right. Yeah, no, definitely that game. If you haven't played that game and you have like a GameCube or something like that, I highly recommend that game. That game is so much fun. That game is so much fun. Man, that game is so much fun. And it looks like it's breaking above the double top right there. AHMA trying to break above the double top right now. Trying to break above that double top. We shall see what goes on here. It's trying to, man. It's trying to break above 636. Needs to break that double top at 636 right there for it to be so much Maxi Tumya. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Let's take a look at ABVE. ABVE, as of now, still a low volume stock. Heavy float, low volume right there. Has that going on. Coach, is that you driving the battle bus?
Yes, sir.
Coach driving the battle bus. Look at him.
Roger that, baby.
Yes, sir. We are just 3 minutes away from the bell. The bell. It deafens me. All right. ABVE needs to break that descending wedge right there. All right. And again, it's moving up. It moved up on low volume, formed a bit of a double top right at the 91-cent mark, right over here, and then started pulling back a little bit. Needs to break the descending wedge and double top at 91 cents for it to be so much Maxi to me. Needs a lot of volume too. ABVE. ABVE needs a lot of volume. All right. Needs a lot of volume to break the descending wedge and the double top at 91 cents right there. So we got that going on as well. That is what we got going on. Yes, sir. All right. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Not gonna lie. In about a minute and a half.
In about a minute and a half, the bail. Not gonna lie though, I kind of do miss playing Forced Unleashed, where you just like had the lightning, you just went. You're like, oh, I'm sorry, it's so cool. It was so cool. It was so cool to do that. You know, and it was kind of cool playing as the bad guy for like half the game, and then after that you got to be the good guy and stuff like that. But you still kept the finger lightning. Okay. All right, because yeah, you're still a Jedi, but I mean, at least you're a Jedi that can use the finger lightning. I don't know if most Jedi could do that. I don't know if most Jedi could do that one. I'm just saying. At least you get to keep the finger lightning. All right. If I had to go from Sith to Jedi, I want to keep the finger lightning too. I'm not gonna lie. All right. That would be non-negotiable. It's like all right. I'll become a Jedi, but do I get to keep the finger lightning though? So I don't. I'm gonna be mad. I'm gonna be upset about that.
40 seconds to the bell.
Alex says, Bobo Beebs, you get on TOVX. All right. 40 seconds to the bell. The bell. The bell. Let's take a look at TOVX anyway. Let's take a look at TOVX, see how it's doing. TOVX had a bit of a pullback, a little bit of a pullback, and then curled back up a little bit. Still testing the high day at 29 cents right there. On. There we go. Right, there we go. Right there, bot. Right there.
10 seconds to the bell.
10 seconds to the bell. The bell. Hold on, we getting there. TOVX curling off the descending wedge right there. Curling off that descending wedge. TOVX curling off the descending wedge, but now forming a bit of a double top. And needs to remain friends with the trend. Curling off the descending wedge needs to break the high of day and remain friends with the trend. Not frieds with the trend, friends with the trend. I mistyped. It says frieds with the trend. Friends. Friends with the trend. Not frieds with the trend. No. We're not frying the trend. No, we're not frying that. I don't think it would taste too good. The trend. We like the trend to be going up and living. No. Needs to break 28 cents as well. Needs to break 28 cents. You know what I mean? Cents. Alright. TOVX needs to break 28 cents. TOVX needs to break the high, the resistance at 28 cents right there. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right. All right. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right. You know what I have been playing, though, ladies and gentlemen? I've been playing a lot of Final Fantasy. Final Fantasy, man, I love that game growing up. Still love it to this day. The game is amazing. The storyline is absolute cinema. And especially Final Fantasy 16, the fight scenes are amazing. I'm sorry. The choreography is great. The fight scenes are amazing. The quick time events. Oh, it's so cool. The little icon battles. If you know, you know. Man, I'm a Final Fantasy nerd. I'm a Final Fantasy nerd with that stuff. Some of the greatest protagonists to ever come out of there. You know, Cloud Strife, you got Clive Rossfield, Noctis Lucius Kylan was pretty cool. And then you got Lightning. She was one of the greatest female protagonists next to Lara Croft. You already know. Yes, sir. All right. Who's your favorite video game protagonist, by the way, ladies and gentlemen? Put it in the chat. Put it in the chat. Let me know. Let me know. Let me know. AHMA. AHMA. We got the bell going on up in here. The bell. It's time for the ringy dingy, the wee woo, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, sir. All right. So as of now, AHMA just climbed up. Beautiful. Beautiful. On the uptrend right there. Still, you know, I broke the 3 million float right there. Has a 4 million float now. AHMA on the uptrend now has a higher volume than float right there. So AHMA shot up and climbed. Baby. Yes, sir. There we go. Obviously, he's going to need more volume to continue to remain friends with the trend, but it is looking good right now. Looking good. Looking good. Needs to break above the $7.07 line over there. Needs to break the high a day for it to be so much Mexican to me. JFB. What's going on with JFB? What's that doing right there? JFB, very choppy. JFB Construction shares are trading higher after the company announced that its Extend unit was successfully demonstrated its proprietary systems performance in combat-relevant testing environments and confirmed they meet U.S. government operational requirements. So apparently they're doing something with the U.S. government operational requirements. Whether or not they're doing something with the U.S. government, however, like it implies they're doing something with the U.S. government, but it doesn't actually say it. It just says that they met U.S. government operational requirements. All right, that doesn't necessarily mean they're doing anything with the U.S. government, and it's up 110%, but on low volume. So we got that going on right there. JFB up 110% on low volume, up 110% on very low volume right there. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Alex says, "Oh man, AIFF cooking called it earlier. Let's see." Let's see how it's doing. Oh my, AIFF had a massive shot upward there. Yes, sir. Good job, Alex. Man, yeah. It did have a nice shot upward there. Up 43%. 43%. Major price spike for AIFF. AIFF still low volume, heavy float right there, but it did have a price spike. So AIFF, price spike on low volume right there. Nice price spike, though. It is a wonderful price spike. All right. Shot up to 225. It shot up to 225, ladies and gentlemen. So it did that right there. Shot up nicely. It did shoot up nicely, ladies and gentlemen. Did shoot up nicely there. Let's get a share party going. Let's get to 1600. 1600, ladies and gentlemen. Come on now. There we go. There we go. There we go. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right. All right. All right. All right. Yes, sir. All right. It's testing that 229 area. Let's get that share party going on. Let's get that share party going on right there. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right. By the way, ladies and gentlemen, I got a funny story to tell you guys. Oh, whoa, whoa. AFF still climbing right now. Still climbing up 50%. 50%. Breaking through the high of day. Shot up like a rocket. Up 50%. Again, on low volume, but it is moving up. AFF shot up 50%. Price spike. Low volume, but it is still shooting up there. I will give it credit where credit's due. It's moving and grooving and grooving and moving. That's nice. That's excellent. Wonderful. All right. There we go. There we go. There we go. There we go. In the meantime, we're going to take a look at UGRO. UGRO. That's why not. All right. Still needs to break that descent. Still needs to break that pennant right there. It needs to break that VWAP right there. Urban Growth shares are trading higher after the company announced that its merger with Sri Lanka's innovative production group, including its portfolio of T20 League commercial rights, has been completed. So that's a good thing right there, but it needs to break that VWAP still. UGRO still needs to break that VWAP. UGRO still needs to break the VWAP for it to be so much Mexi Tumya. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Right there. Boom. There we go. Ah, right there. All right, all right, all right. Yes, sir. All right. Okay. All right, so as of now, UGRO is up 64%. Needs to break the VWAP, needs to break the pennant for it to be so much Mexi Tumya. There we go. There we go, ladies and gentlemen. There we go. Woo! Yes, sir. All right. All right, all right, all right. Let's see here. Okay. Let's see what else we got. What do we got? What do we got? Let me add them. Let me add them. All right. Let's see here. Let's see. Look at AHMA. See how AHMA is holding up. AHMA. Aha. All right. AHMA just shot up above 707. Hit 798 and pulled back a little bit, obviously. Slap that 798 over there and then pull back. All right. So we got that going on right there. AHMA broke the high of day. Needs to break the new high of day. Up a nice up. I believe it was 70%, was it? Yeah, it was 70%. 70%. 70%. Because it did hit 70% right there. Needs to break that right there for it to be so much Mexi Tumya. Let's take a look. UGRO, UGRO. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right. Let's see what we got going on. All right. All right. All right. All right. 1 second, ladies and gentlemen. 1 second. 1 second. 1 second. But I will say this, ladies and gentlemen. One of the greatest Star Wars games of all time, outside of like regular Star Wars, obviously, was Lego Star Wars. Just gonna put that out there. Just gonna put that out there. That was a glorious game. That was glorious. I played that when I was a kid. Yeesh. And me and the boys were grinding Lego Star Wars as kids. Yes, that's what we were doing. Grinding out Lego Star Wars. We were. Getting all them characters. Yes, sir. All right. UGRO tested the high day at 385. Needs to break above that 385 resistance right there for it to be Shmexi Tumya. There we go. There we go. UGRO. tested the resistance at 385, needs volume to keep up the climb. Yes, sir. There we go. All right. There we go. 75%. Testing that high, that VWAP right there. Testing that, not the VWAP. Testing that resistance line, breaking above it, slightly peaking above it, peeking its head above it right now. Peeking its head above 385. Let's see what goes on here. Actually, hold on. It has to break above. It should be 380, not 385. It broke above 380. Ooh, yeah. Needs to break that high a day, though, at 436. Needs to break that high a day. Yes, sir. All right. Looks like it's testing it right now. It's testing. There we go. It's climbing up. Needs to break 436. That is the next resistance line for it right there. UGRO broke above 385. Needs to break the high of day at 436 for it to continue to be schmaxy to mya. Yes, sir. Woo. All right. There we go. Ooh, it's testing it. It shot up like a rocket just now. It shot up off the pennant right there. UGRO shooting up off the pennant. UGRO shot up off the pennant right there. Yes, sir. UGRO shot up off the pennant right there. All right. There we go. All right, beautiful. All right, ladies and gentlemen. All right. So, that's what we got going on so far. Thank you guys so much for watching. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, as well as ring that bell icon to stay notified when new videos are uploaded. And remember to share, because sharing is caring, ladies and gentlemen. Sharing is caring. And, of course, if you want access to our private Discord, the link to join is in the description down below, as well as the pinned comment section. So be sure to check that out, because we pick a lot of baggers a lot of times. We're just made different. And the early bird gets the cash, the moolah, the loots, the cashola, the big bucks, I tell you. Yes, sir. And, of course, ladies and gentlemen, if you want access to our private Discord, link to join us in the description down below, as well as the pinned comment section. So be sure to check it out for that 4-day trial. We pick a lot of baggers a lot of times. We're just made different. And the early bird gets the cash. All right? So be sure to check us out on our YouTube channel at Coaching Money. Be sure to check us out on our X.com, a.k.a. Twitter, at Coaching Money. You can check us out on our Twitch, at Coaching Money. You can check us out there. We do all sorts of live streams on those 3 platforms right there. All right. You can also check us out on our, our Facebook, Instagram, and Threads, at Coaching Money. And, of course, ladies and gentlemen, you can check us out on our TikTok, Tiki-Taki, a.k.a. the Tac. You can find us there at DBL Nicks. At DBL NICKS, and the screen name is Coach Nick Money. And, ladies and gentlemen, quick thing before we wrap up. If you've been watching and you want to, and you're very serious about small caps, ladies and gentlemen, don't sit on the corner on the outside trying to piece it together. We got a 4-day full access pass for only $9.99, and it's full access, ladies and gentlemen. So that means you come inside, you get to see how we operate live. All right. live and in living color. You see how we structure trade ideas, how we map levels, how we think about risk, how we handle momentum. You'll get next day early watch lists. You'll see 24/7 market news flow, pre-market scanners, after-hour scanners, things like float, volume, catalyst context built right in. You get the stock, the price, the volume, the float, the time which it was scanned, whether it's moving up or down, the change of the percentage, hyperlinks to the stocks that we're looking at on that scanner right there. Yeah, all that. Pre-market regular hours and after-hours scanners right there. All right, so also you get access to our wonderful ticker tape, which shows all the stocks that are starting to heat up just before they go parabolic. So because that ain't noise, ladies and gentlemen. That's structure right there. That's structure. That's what we do. All right, that's what we do. And they got hyperlinks too. Not to mention the fact that the newsroom does as well. All right, so you got hyperlinks to everything. Wonderful research tools everywhere you go. Because people say, "Oh, my Discord's great. My Discord's great." Does your Discord do the cool stuff that our Discord does? Nah, no, it not does. No, it doesn't. It doesn't have scanners like we got. It doesn't have a news flow like we got. No. So, ladies and gentlemen, we don't do noise, we do structure. And if that's how you want to approach this market, grab that 4-day pass. Come see it live, ladies and gentlemen. Link to join us in the description down below, as well as the pinned comment section. When you come in, let us know you saw us on the stream so we can welcome you with open arms. Well, we're going to welcome you with open arms regardless. But let us know you saw us on the stream. We like to hear about that stuff. You know what I mean? So, that's pretty much it for us. Much love. Take care of yourselves. Have a wonderful day. Remember that we got a show coming up at 1:30 p.m. called Power Plays, hosted by the legend himself, Coach Nick Money, as he traverses the stock market prior to Power Hour. And what he does is he basically keeps an eye on them stonks, lets them simmer on high heat, gets some dubs for the community in Fortnite, and then gets back at it again on the stock market. You know what I mean? Just before the Power Hour, ladies and gentlemen. Just before the Power Hour. So be sure to check it out, ladies and gentlemen. All right? And again, you'll find that all of that live on YouTube, X, and Twitch at Coaching Money.
At Coaching Money.
At Coaching Money right there. So we got that going on right there. So, yeah. Much love, ladies and gentlemen. Take care of yourselves. Have a wonderful day. I'll see you guys at 1:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for Power Play.